You've been here before, more times than you want to admit. You're sitting there, watching a video in English, and surprisingly, you understand it. Not just a few words, not just random sentences, almost everything. You follow the story. You understand the message. You even feel a little proud. Maybe I'm getting better. And for a moment, you feel confident. But then, something changes. The video ends. The real world comes back. And someone asks you a simple question. Can you say something in English? Or maybe, what do you think? Or even just, introduce yourself. And suddenly, everything disappears. The words you knew just seconds ago are gone. Your mind goes blank. Your heart starts beating faster. Your chest feels tight. You try to think. You really try. I know this. I've learned this. I've heard this before. But nothing comes out. Not a sentence. Not even a simple one. Just silence. And that silence feels heavy, uncomfortable, painful. You can feel people waiting, looking at you, and every second that passes makes it worse. So you do the only thing you can do. You smile, awkwardly, and you say, "Sorry, my English is not good." But deep down, you know something is wrong, because that sentence is not true. Your English is not bad. You can understand this video right now. You can follow conversations. You can read. You can listen. So why can't you speak? That question has been following you, quietly, constantly. Every time you stay silent, every time you avoid speaking, every time you say, maybe later. And over time, that question becomes something else, a belief. Maybe I'm just not good at English. Maybe speaking is not for me. Maybe I will never be fluent. And the more you think that way, the more it feels true. But let me ask you something. What if none of that is true? What if the problem is not your intelligence, not your memory, not your ability? What if the problem is something else? Something you've never noticed? Something hidden in the way you've been learning? Because here's the strange part. You are not alone. Millions of people around the world have the exact same problem. They understand English, but they cannot speak it. And they all feel the same thing: frustration, embarrassment, self-doubt. They all ask the same question: why is this happening to me? But almost no one gets a clear answer. Instead, they are told to do more, study more, memorize more, watch more videos. So they keep going, day after day, month after month, listening, watching, reading. And yes, their understanding improves. They recognize more words. They understand more content. But their speaking? Still stuck. Still slow. Still silent. And that's when it becomes dangerous. Because now it doesn't feel like a skill problem. It feels personal. It feels like I'm the problem. And once you start believing that, everything changes. You stop trying. You avoid speaking situations. You stay quiet in conversations. Not because you don't want to speak, but because you're afraid of that moment. That moment when your mind goes blank. That moment when you freeze. That moment when you feel exposed. And the worst part? Every time it happens, it becomes stronger. The fear grows. The silence becomes more natural. And slowly, without realizing it, you build a habit. A habit of not speaking. A habit of staying safe. A habit of silence. And the longer this continues,
the harder it becomes to break. So let me ask you again. Why can you understand English but not speak it? Because the answer is not what you think. And once you see it, you will realize something powerful. You were never bad at English. You were just trained the wrong way. And in the next part, I'm going to show you exactly how that happened and why everything you've been doing has been keeping you stuck.
Let's look at something simple, something you've been doing almost every day. You watch videos in English, you listen to podcasts, you read articles, and every time you do that, you feel like you're improving because you understand more, you recognize more words, you follow more ideas. And that feeling is addictive. It feels like progress. But here's the truth. It's only half the picture. Because everything you've been doing belongs to one category: input. Listening is input. Reading is input. Watching is input. You are receiving the language. But speaking is something completely different. Speaking is output. It's not about recognizing, it's about producing. It's not about understanding, it's about creating. And your brain treats these two skills differently. Let me show you. Imagine this. You listen to your favorite song every single day. You know the melody, you remember the lyrics, you feel the emotion. But then, someone gives you a microphone and asks you to sing. What happens? You hesitate, you forget parts, you feel nervous, even though you've heard that song 100 times. Why? Because listening to music is not the same as performing it. And this is exactly what is happening to you. You've spent months, maybe years, training your brain to understand English, but you never trained it to speak. Not really. Because watching a video is safe. There's no pressure, no judgment, no risk. You can pause, you can rewind, you can think slowly. But speaking doesn't work like that. Speaking is fast. It's real time. You don't have 10 seconds to think. You don't have time to translate. You need to respond immediately. And your brain is not ready for that. Not because it's weak, but because it's untrained. This is the hidden mistake. You believed that input would automatically become output, that one day, after enough listening, you would suddenly be able to speak. But that day never came, because input and output are separate skills, and one does not guarantee the other. Think about it. A child doesn't learn to speak just by listening. They try, they fail, they repeat, they make mistakes, thousands of them. And through those mistakes, they build fluency. But you tried to avoid mistakes. You tried to wait until you were ready, until your grammar was perfect, until your vocabulary was big enough. But that moment never arrives, because speaking is not built on perfection. It's built on practice. And the longer you delay that practice, the harder it becomes to start. Now here's something even more important. Every time you only consume English without speaking, you are strengthening the wrong habit. You are becoming better at understanding, but also more comfortable being silent. And comfort can be dangerous, because your brain starts to think, this is enough. I understand, so I'm improving. But deep down, you know something is missing. That gap between understanding and speaking keeps growing, and the more it grows, the more frustrated you feel. Because now you know more than you can say. You have ideas, but no voice. You have knowledge, but no expression. And that feeling is one of the most frustrating experiences in language learning. It's like being trapped inside your own mind. You know what you want to say, but you can't say it. And over time, this creates pressure.
mental pressure, emotional pressure. Because every time you fail to speak, you feel like you're falling behind, like you're not improving, like something is wrong with you. But now you know the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. You were just practicing the wrong skill. You were training only half of the system. And until you fix that, nothing will change. But even if you understand this, there is still something stopping you, something stronger than logic, something deeper than technique. And in the next part, we're going to face it. The real reason you stay silent. Not because you can't speak, but because something inside you won't let you. Now we go deeper. Because even if you understand everything I just said, even if you realize, yes, I haven't practiced speaking, there is still something holding you back, something invisible, something emotional. Fear. Not fear of English, fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of making mistakes in front of other people. And this fear is stronger than logic, because every time you try to speak, your brain is not thinking about English, it's thinking about survival. What if I say something wrong? What if they don't understand me? What if they laugh? And in that moment, your brain makes a decision. Stay quiet. Because silence feels safe. There is no risk, no embarrassment, no judgment. So you choose silence again and again and again. And every time you do that, your brain learns something. Good choice. You avoided danger. And slowly, this becomes automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. You just don't speak. Not because you don't want to, but because your brain has been trained to stop you. Now here's where it gets dangerous. This is no longer just a habit. It becomes your identity. I am someone who understands English but cannot speak it. And once something becomes your identity, you stop questioning it. You accept it. You live with it. You build your behavior around it. You avoid conversations. You avoid opportunities. You avoid situations where you have to speak. Not because you are weak, but because your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort, from embarrassment, from failure. But here's the truth. That protection is also your prison, because every time you avoid speaking, you are strengthening the identity. You are proving to yourself, yes, I can't speak. And that belief becomes stronger. Now let me ask you something. How many times have you had the chance to speak, but didn't? How many times did you know what to say, but stayed silent? How many times did you choose comfort over growth? And how did you feel after that? Relieved for a moment, but later, regret, frustration, disappointment. Because deep down, you wanted to speak, you just couldn't. And that gap between what you want and what you do is painful. But it doesn't stop there. There's another layer, a quieter one. The voice inside your head, the one that says you're not ready, you need more practice, you need more vocabulary. It sounds reasonable, but it's not helping you. It's delaying you. Because that voice is not trying to improve you, it's trying to protect you from making mistakes. But here's the problem. If you wait until you're ready, you will wait forever. Because speaking is not something you prepare for, it's something you build by doing. And the longer you delay that practice, the harder it becomes to start. So now you're stuck in a loop. You don't speak because you're afraid, and you're afraid because you don't speak. A perfect loop, a trap. And the worst part? From the outside, no one can see it. They just see someone quiet, but inside there's a battle between who you are and who you want to become. And every day, that battle continues. But here's the turning point. What if this is not your personality? What if this is not who you are? What if this is just a pattern that you learned? Because if it's learned, it can be unlearned. If it's a habit, it can be changed. If it's a belief, it can be broken. And that means you are not stuck, not permanently, not hopelessly, just temporarily. And in the next part, I'm going to show you something that changes everything. A truth that removes the pressure. A truth that gives you control again. And once you understand it, you will stop blaming yourself and start changing your system.
Now it's time. No more theories. No more explanations. This is where everything changes, because now you're going to build a new system, not a perfect system, but a real one. A system that moves you from silence to speaking, step by step, day by day. And it starts with something simple, something uncomfortable, something powerful. Speaking alone. Yes, alone. Not in front of people, not in a classroom, just you. Because right now, your biggest enemy is pressure. So we remove it. No audience, no judgment, no fear. Just your voice. Start small. Look around you. Say what you see. This is my phone. This is my room. I am sitting. I feel tired. Simple sentences. No thinking too much. No translating. Just speaking. At first, it will feel strange. You might feel uncomfortable. You might even think, this is stupid. But keep going, because something is happening inside your brain. You are activating your speaking ability. You are teaching your brain it's safe to speak. And safety is the first step to fluency. Now we add the second step, shadowing. This is where you start building speed. Choose a short audio, a simple video. Listen to one sentence and repeat it immediately. Don't pause, don't analyze, don't translate. Just follow the sound, like an echo. Even if it's not perfect, even if you miss some words, keep going. Because this is not about accuracy, it's about reaction. You are training your brain to respond faster, to connect listening and speaking, to reduce hesitation. And over time, you will notice something. You are speaking without thinking too much. That's progress, real progress. Now the third step, thinking in English. This is where everything starts to connect. Right now, your thoughts are probably in your native language, and that's why you translate. But we're going to change that. Start with simple thoughts. I'm hungry. I need to work. This is difficult. Talk to yourself in your mind in English. At first, it will be slow, but that's okay. Speed comes later. What matters now is direction. You are building a new habit, a new way of thinking. And once your thoughts become English, your speech becomes easier. Because now you don't need to translate, you just express. Now let's bring everything together. Every day you do 3 things. You speak alone, you shadow, you think in English. That's it. Simple. No complicated rules, no heavy grammar. Just practice. Real practice. Now here's what will happen. After a few days, you will feel less afraid because your brain is getting used to speaking. After 1 week, you will notice small changes. Words come faster. Sentences feel easier. After 2 weeks, you will feel more confident. Not perfect, but stronger. And after 30 days, something amazing happens. You are no longer the same person. You are someone who speaks. Not someone who understands and stays silent, but someone who tries, who expresses, who communicates. And that changes everything. Because now, when someone asks you, can you say something in English? You don't freeze. You don't panic. You speak. Maybe slowly, maybe imperfectly, but you speak. And that is the moment everything begins. So don't wait. Don't prepare. Don't overthink. Start today. Speak 1 sentence, then another, then another. Because fluency is not built in your head. It's built through your voice.
and your voice is ready. You just need to use it. Start now and don't stop.